so excited to bring on our next guests, Emily Sweet and Tate Steinseek. How do you say your last name? I didn't want to butcher it. Is it Steinseek? Steinseck?
Steinseek is fine, but my parents say Steinzik.
Steinzik. Okay.
So I'll leave it up to you. You can choose.
Steinzik. That's awesome. We're talking Castle Freak here. And this isn't the original. This is the 2020 remake. And if you have not watched this film yet on Shudder or your respective, wherever you stream your videos, you got to watch this movie. This movie kicked ass. I mean, you got the gore, you got awesome sex in it. Just the way it was shot, it was beautiful. The acting, the ensemble of all the actors that you brought in, I think you nailed it. So,
well, thank you very much.
Tate, I got to ask you. Obviously, it's as a remake. You know, it's a classic horror film. What made you want to be involved in a remake when a lot of the horror community always, they bash remakes? I loved this remake. I thought it was great. So did you feel any intimidation in that front?
I mean, no, I don't. It's a problem of mine. I'm not intimidated by much. Like, I probably should have been. But I wasn't. It's, when it was given to me as an opportunity, that's exactly how I saw it. I didn't think twice about it, even though at that point there still wasn't a script. So, we hadn't discussed with the production company, are we going to try and do something, specifically homage to the original, or are we going to, tear the walls down? Obviously, we chose to tear the walls down, which I think is, listen, man, you can make a great remake, but the foundation of that has to be, there's a reason, there's a different story to tell, so when we started talking about this, and from the onset, my only request / demand was that more Lovecraft be incorporated, because
yes,
listen, we can all be, well, honestly, now suddenly people are starting to get it. Jordan Peele being a big power behind that, which is amazing. Mm-hmm. But for the longest time, man, Lovecraft just kind of slipped into the murky mythos. You never really saw anyone even trying to hit on it, and which was really bizarre, because in my opinion, it's some of the best horror concepts that are still yet to be made. So anyway, just from the beginning, I talked with Barbara and the whole production team. We just decided that we were going to go ahead and try and make something different. And I'm glad we did. I'm glad people seem to be, well, it's still polarizing. There's still people that obviously wanted to see Giorgio rise from the dead. You know what I mean? But God bless Giorgio. He's in his own cemetery somewhere. But it's I'm more about blowing down the doors, and I think we did a good job of that.
No, I agree. I thought the movie flowed really well. I got to ask you about the sets. Where did you guys shoot? I mean, this castle was amazing. The background, all the art. I don't want to call it artifacts, but they're in Rebecca's inheriting this castle, right? Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, she can't see the beauty of it. But where did you guys shoot? I mean, this was amazing. I felt like it was like an Indiana Jones type deal. It was just amazing.
Well, it's, you know what? Honestly, man, that is purely that's purely thanks to my American side producers that went over to Albania, which was Justin Martell, Seeger, and Matt Mandarides, Seeger Dixon. Sorry, those guys. It's a big web that weaves in a circle, man. They're the producing team for the Joe Bob Briggs show.
Wow.
The Last Drive-In, right? So one episode, Joe Bob was reviewing Castle Freak, the original, and he had Barbara Crampton come on as a guest. Mm-hmm. So through whatever series of connective devices and conversations, Barbara mentioned that there was this reimagining in the works, and Justin mentioned, hey, I know an Albanian castle that we can use. And so from that literal moment, it exploded from, concept into reality. Because, unlike a lot of producers who tell you one thing and they show you they'll wheel you out their version of a castle, and it's a dumpster with really artful walls. These guys actually had an Albanian castle. So it was insane. They started sending me pictures and like drone photography, and like it was insane. So I guess Justin and Matt had a relationship with the Albanian Film Commission. They had shot a trauma film over there before.
Wow.
So they had firsthand seen all of the beautiful locations. They'd worked with the Albanian crew and saw all of the, capabilities that they had and all of their equipment. And so anyway, in that second, it was that little bit of spontaneity. Joe Bob's show created the two people needing to meet to give us all of these locations. And man, I can't even tell you, I wish the movie could have been 4 hours long just to show you some of the stuff we couldn't shoot. Like, I cursed them for not having a documentary team on hand to just film us filming. You know what I mean? Because that would be a beautiful shot too. Take 10 steps back and you realize you're in a 60-foot vaulted ceiling. You know what I mean? And then there's this little crew shooting a horror movie. It was bizarre, but it was amazing.
So were you guys on location throughout the whole film?
Yeah, we shot the entire film in Albania. And it's not easy trying to cheat American stuff for Albania. It's the fashion sense is very different. So, outfitting a group of Albanians to look like a bunch of partiers from Boston. Not as easy as one might think. But listen, man, the benefits outweighed all the problems immensely. Like, let's talk about that pyramid location, the opening scene where Rebecca walks up. That was an abandoned building. There's a little bit more historical significance to it. It's the former tomb of a once reigning emperor of Albania. But then when the regime shifted, they tore it down, removed the body and all of that stuff, and left it as like this skeletal complex. And then Justin and our Albanian side, first AD Gents, they managed to somehow call like the government and get us into that building. We're the first movie ever to shoot in that building ever. And then they leveled it like 2 weeks after we left. So we will remain the one and only film to shoot in the tomb of Albania's former leader.
One of my really good friends is a refugee from Albania, and his family came over here. And I told him, like, man, I just watched this amazing film, and I'm almost positive they shot in Albania because, he shows me pictures and whatnot. It's such a beautiful area.
Absolutely.
And yeah, so I wish I could have been there with you guys to experience this because it was amazing. So I want to get into the cast a little bit. How much were you involved in the casting? Because I think, with Claire and Jake, they did such a good job. Jake has this sinister side to him, and Emily coming on. We'll get to Emily in a second here. But how much did you get involved in the casting? Did you get to pick who you wanted, or
yeah,
were they like, take this, take Emily? She's beautiful. She'll be fine.
No. Listen, man. Like, regardless of what project I'm making, whether it's a monster special effects or it's a feature film, like, I want to be involved in every aspect of it. It's and casting was no different. So obviously I had a lot of people to go through, and the people that I selected, they each just had something that spoke to me about the character. The reason that I chose Emily is because she, as an actress, seemed far more complex than the character that she was going to play. Mm-hmm. And that gave me a little bit of hope, smashing down some of those embedded tropes, and the same sort of concept with Claire. I saw plenty of girls audition that would have been great running from Jason Voorhees. But something about Claire, she had a pause about her. She had a reflection and she made it feel real. And, I didn't even realize she wasn't an actress. One of the funny stories about that is when I watched her audition, I was instantly interested. And I went to go click on her CV and nothing came down. And I'm like, they must have forgotten to upload it or something. Well, come to find out, she never acted before. But that ended up working out great because, a lot of your favorite actors didn't start out actors. They were just interesting people that wandered onto a film set, and Claire kind of had that about her. So, and that's something I wanted to do. The same with Jake. And I wanted people that would hopefully bring something a little bit more complex to I mean, let's be honest, it's Castle Freak. It's the king of the tropes. You know what I mean? I wanted it to feel, of course, it's going to have that underlying motivation, but I want talent to come in and play it in a more believable way. That way, it broadens the audience. And I couldn't be more happy with how they did it, man. We walked a really fine line. When you sign up for something called Castle Freak, you know what I mean? Like, you're walking into something very specific. So I applaud all of their bravery. I applaud all of their trust, and I fucking applaud my casting director David Guglielmo for giving me such amazing options. Not everyone wants to fly to Albania on a whim and just live in the middle of nowhere. And good luck. You know what I mean? These were these were some brave souls, man.
Well, I'm going to applaud you for saying David's last name right, because that just rolled right off the tongue.
I lived in New York for a long time. Those Italian boys, I know plenty of them.
I work in the city. I work in New York. I'm in Jersey now, but yeah,
Nice.
it's like a melting pot. Emily, well done. Welcome to our show where the scary things are. Tate kind of led into something about, you see the title of the movie. Did you know that this was going to be a remake? And how did you get involved in the movie?
So I have always loved the original Castle Freak. I love Stuart Gordon. I love all of those movies. Reanimator is one of my favorites. I just love them. So
Nice.
my agent he just wrote to me one day and was like, hey, so I have this movie called Castle Freak for you to audition for. Stop it. Stop.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was like, yeah, and blah, blah, blah. So, no, it was incredible. It was an incredible experience. But no, my agent just, thank God, I love him. I owe him so much that he got me this audition. And I booked it and met all these amazing people.
Awesome.
And then, Tate also mentioned, like, did you know you were going to be filming in Albania and having to travel? You're in LA, I believe, right? So that's a long trip.
It is, but so good. And like, who gets to say that they were able to fly to Albania and film
Right.
like this classic, reimagining of this horror classic? It was incredible.
I know, it was pretty surreal.
Yeah, it still is. Every time I think about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that.
I know. Every single day I wake up with the same like odd smile on my face. I'm like, yeah, no, that happened, didn't it? That happened.
Now it's so great that it's out and we get to see, what we worked so hard on. It's, oh gosh, how rewarding.
I know. I'm loving it, man.
So your character, Shelley, talk about how you got into character and to be this woman who, I mean, you're trying to steal another man here, and I yeah. How did you get into character for this? Obviously, there were some scenes in there that were really memorable, but what did you? Let's talk about that for a bit. I mean, you read your role, and what jumped out at you? Like, oh, this is going to be great.
Sure. Okay. Well, first of all, I knew, and I'm not trying to blow smoke up anyone's ass. I knew it was going to be great just because it's Castle Freak, and I mean, sure, I guess you could do it the wrong way, but I just loved it. I read the script and I adored it. So at first when I read it, though, I will say I was like, oh gosh, I don't want to be, I think my motivation was I don't want to be the girl that just takes off her clothes in the movie, right? Like,
yep.
To me, that just seemed like, that doesn't seem fair for this character and for this movie. And so when I really read it and when I, Tate, you know this about Tate and Tate, sorry, I'm going to speak highly of you because I just adore you so much.
I'll cover my ears.
He called us and had us do, he talked, well, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm so excited. So I read it and, I talked with my agent. I was like, okay, I'm going to be doing some things in this movie that I haven't really done before, but it's worth it. Honestly, whatever I have to do, it's worth it to be a part of this reimagining. So then Tate called us after we accepted, and right off the bat, he just was so easy to talk to, so trusting, had so many ideas, just loved it so much. And, he had us write things about our character, like backstories about our character and this and that and whatever, which helped. But, talking with Tate, we had decided that, so I don't think Shelley is a bad person. I think Shelley is very misunderstood.
Yes.
After speaking with Tate, John, Jake, so John, our characters were together before. you know, for whatever reason, he ended up with Rebecca, and then out of guilt stayed with Rebecca for, you know, just out of guilt, I suppose. And so I like to also, when I was watching this, you see the romantic scene with Rebecca and John, and it's like, oh, that's nice. That's nice. So sweet. But then you see our scene, and you're like, oh man, the magic's happening.
Yeah.
Together.
There's a difference between making love and fucking.
Yes.
And we covered that within the story.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Camera-wise and emotionally, I think.
Yeah.
So I got to ask.
You know what? Emily hit on something really important, and like the character, we talked about this, especially Emily and I at length, about the character and the backstory, and trying to give her little bits and pieces to work with in the character to give it something more complex and more depth. And I got to give it to Emily. One of my favorite, well, it is my favorite Shelley moment, but one of my favorite moments in the entire film is the moment where she slips into the bath and she has a moment alone with herself and like this figment of John. And she cheers him with the wine glass. That's all Emily. That wasn't in the script. That was something that Emily and I talked about. We're like, look at this set. Look at this moment. Look at the candlelight and the wine and the opulence, and look at what you're rewarding yourself with. Let's take this moment and let's give a chance for Shelley to tell her story right here. You know what I mean? Because it's the only time we get that she's not either trying to steal someone's man or worse, or you know, busting on a blind girl, cool sunglasses, kind of a bitch move.
Yeah.
To be honest, you know. But this was our moment, and in this moment, Emily came up with. She told volumes of story about a past that we as an audience didn't get to see between John and Shelley.
Before I hand it over to Muse, I got one more question for you, Emily. When you completed the movie, and you know it was just released earlier this week, I believe, on Shudder. When you tell your family, like, I'm in this great horror movie, you got to check it out, and then they watch it, what is that reaction like when they see, like, oh, okay? Tell me about that a little bit. I always think about that with actresses and actors when they have certain scenes and whatnot. Even horror films, like not just like, you know, the sex scenes and whatnot, but even in a horror film when you're getting, you know, mutilated or whatever, and I always wonder about that conversation, you know, with your dad and your mom or whatever. I was like, oh, you did awesome, or your mom. I can imagine my mom like, why would you do something like that, you know, to me? But how is it in your with you, and how was that?
Sure. So I love horror. I've always loved horror. It's what I want to act in always. I find it the most fulfilling to act in. And so I've done a couple of other horror films where I died, you know, and my parents are like, oh gosh, that's hard to watch. But you know, I have to say that they are so supportive, so supportive. My poor mother, she jumps in Iron Man when, like, the beginning when the bombs went off at Iron Man. She was like, so I had to really prep her for Castle Freak. But the thing is, you know, when I booked the role, I told my mom, my stepdad, my dad, my stepmom, you know, hey, I'm going to do this movie. They know that I love Castle Freak. They were very excited for me to be able to have this opportunity. But I said, you know, there are some scenes in here.
A little bit.
All for you to watch. But honestly, they're so amazing. And how I look at it as, I'm not myself there. I'm just doing my job. You know, and they really respect that. And my dad and my stepmom haven't watched yet just because they've been super busy, but my mom and my stepdad have watched it and they loved it. I'm so proud of my mom. She was like, I only covered my eyes twice.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, but what I also tell them, because especially my mom, because it's really hard for her, is that like gore and stuff is really hard for her to watch. And so I always tell her, just look at the talented people that made that look so real. And if you can kind of switch your mind during those scenes, and instead of being like, this is a horrible atrocity that's happening in front of my eyes, like someone's head exploding, if you look at that from the standpoint of, wow, that effects team that made that look so real, that is incredible. And I think that kind of helped her a little bit.
Oh, that's
well done.
That's a really great way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's true. I mean, you want to, there's so many different types of horror movies with a low budget or they get a higher production or whatever, and it's the hit or miss when you get to these scenes. Like, how real does the blood and the kills and the gore look? And I think Tate's team here and the acting, it all worked together, and it was so believable. It was the perfect amount and believability. I mean, especially when oh god, that I forgot the actress's name that played the nun off the top of my head here.
Oh, Kika.
Kika. I mean, when her opening scene, you know, she's whipping herself, and it was so brutal. It was like Passion of the Christ status, you know. And
Yes. I
was like, oh, I know what I'm going to get into. And I'm watching on the bus. I commute to the city. I'm watching.
Right there for a second because of that specific moment, right?
Yeah.
The reason that was so brutal, that specific moment, and if you go back and watch it, you'll see that I'm telling you the truth. It's because there's no blood. What you saw was laceration, and you saw folding skin, and you saw fat cells, and you saw spatter of blood. But you didn't see copious amounts. And that's a trick that I learned from Craig Zoller, the director of, it's funny, he's teaching me
Bone Tomahawk
about blood. Bone Tomahawk. I did all the effects on Dragged Across Concrete. He would insist on the most realistic of gore, but when it came down to the blood gag, he'd be like, no, I don't want the blood. I'd be like, but there's a tube and there's blood. And he's like, no, I don't want it. I just want the action. So for most of the gore scenes on that movie, it was all, compressed air propulsion just to create the impact, but no blood. And people flipped and they're like, this is the goriest shit I've ever seen. And I'm like, I used maybe half a gallon of blood on that movie.
Wow.
So it's something that I walked away with. I learned something as a gore hound, that sometimes the blood isn't the best cause. Sometimes looking inside a body, that's the shit that will freak you out.
Yeah, I noticed the fat cells. Like, oh my god, like it was just so real. But anyway, I'm speaking of gore. I got to go to my gore whore over here, Gory Lori Muse. I'll hand it over to you.
Expecting to be called that.
Right, yeah. That was kind of. I told Ken that was actually one of my nicknames in school because I loved horror movies, and because my name's Lori, so Gory Lori. Well, yeah. So it kind of stuck.
I love that.
Yeah. So I was like, all right. So Ken's like been using it ad nauseum.
That's great.
I love him. Okay. So I'm going to ask you guys, the movie was great. There's so many great moments. I was going to ask, and this question is to both of you, because you may have different answers. What was your favorite scene to perform, Emily, and your favorite scene to direct, to Tate?
You can go ahead, Emily, if you want to start.
Sure. Gosh, you have to give me a second to this is such like a cliche thing to say, but like it was so much fun. But I think the most fun thing, well, first of all, I love to die, and so just that whole thing was fun, but I'm not going to say that. I really, really, truly enjoyed when we were at the castle, and it was me and Chuck and Larry, so Eli and Omar, and we're all sitting there, I love those two. In real life, I love those people. So it was just like hanging out with buddies. We're doing coke, we're drinking, we're listening to music. Specifically in the script, it said to gyrate, which always makes me laugh. I
love it.
Yeah. So I think that was the most fun because you have, Rebecca and John and the professor like arguing about the Necronomicon and like, this is silly. But then the three of us over in the corner were just like, woo, blowing coke and like drinking. Just having like a great time, and didn't feel like we were filming. It just felt like the three of us were just like hanging out. So I'm going to say that one.
That's awesome. Also hitting on that specific scene. Another one of the great things about working with Emily was the fact that in all of the dead moments, and pretty much all of them made it into the movie, you can see it. When we push in and we see Chuck, Larry, and Emily, or I'm sorry, not Emily, I'm confusing the reality. When you guys are in there and you're partying, she goes over to sit on Omar's lap. And she says something to the effect of, I don't want to see a repeat of New Year's Eve. And then that keyed in everyone to respond and be like, oh, okay, you don't want to tell, and it turned into this really organic moment that took up that time that the camera pushes in and gets to them for their scripted or dialogue. So, it was just great working with her, because you never knew. Like I said, one of my favorite moments was your ad lib in the bathtub. I love that moment. It feels to me like one of the most real character moments in the film. Like I've said several times to Emily off camera, I can't wait to work with you again with a much more complex character than Shelley.
Oh, thanks. I love you. You know how I feel about you. I love you so much. Thank you for saying that, Tate. That's
Yep, I love you too, girl. You're great.
Well, you guys are all great. You guys all did a great job. And I love the movie, and the cinematography was something else I really loved. The scenery was so beautiful. Albania was gorgeous. I want to go there now. After seeing this movie, I would like to visit. It looks so beautiful.
You should. Listen,
Yes.
Albania is a hidden gem. I mean, it has all of the charm and like influence of Italy, but a third of the prices. Plus, it's just organically one of the oldest cultures on the planet. I mean, these people have been a people for a long time, not like our brand new baby asses. You know what I mean?
Right.
So there's a lot to soak in that place, and it's such a wonderful, welcoming people. It quickly became one of my favorite places, and it still is. I can't wait to hopefully go back someday.
So, speaking of this amazing place, were there any particular views or scenes, like places of scenery, that you were like, we definitely have to get this shot in the film? This is gorgeous. We have to have this.
I mean, that was honestly the most frustrating part. And I know that's a bizarre answer. But because, when you have such a tight schedule, like let's all be frank here. This was a very difficult production, timeline wise, budget wise, the entire gamut, just basically because of what we were trying to do. We weren't trying to just blow open the doors. We were trying to, literally welcome Yog-Sothoth into our universe. We were trying to pull off a lot of shit, is what I'm trying to say. So, we had to stick to the script and get the stuff in the script and to make the story work. But what that also means is that all of those days that you just want to jump in the car with your cinematographer and go grab B-roll of this unbelievable location, you're pretty much playing catch up for shit that you didn't make in your day if you didn't make something. So all of your time, like you're sitting there, like it literally got to the point that, well, by the way, I should also mention that my cinematographer Spiro and I did not speak a lick of the same language. He had no English. I had no Albanian. So the entire film was pretty much handled with hand signals and rough interpretations. But at one point, Spiro and I, we came up with this idea that driving to location was going to be our B-roll run. So, from leaving the hotel, we would jump in the same car and ride together, and we'd just be like, stop, pull over. God, that's beautiful. Shoot it. And then we'd continue on towards set. Stop, pull over. Look, there's a bunch of goats and a sheep, like these are the things that happen in Albania that are amazing. You don't have to get an animal wrangler and request 20 goats and a herder just to make shit look authentic. Like you actually have to ask them to get out of the road so you can get to set. You know what I mean? So it was beautiful. So to answer your question short, the most frustrating part was there's too much to shoot and you want to shoot all of it, but you just don't have time because you got to, stick to the script, get the movie done.
Well, I'll tell you what, you guys did a great job, because I was blown away by the views, the scenery, all of it. The castle was I'm like, this is a real castle. Like, this is so amazing. So
yeah.
It was all so
and it was really scary. And not like, it wasn't just a castle. It was specifically a place that in wartime, which in this part of the world is many times over the past thousands of years, it would be occupied by some, and it's been occupied by dozens of different countries. That's the crazy part, the history of this building. But down in the catacombs, there were actually holding cells for prisoners. So, sometimes it hits you. You microcosm in with what you're doing, but then you take a step back and have a cigarette and you're like, it's 2 a.m. and I'm standing in the dungeon of a place where people used to die in the middle of war thousands of years ago. And then you get that little chill. You're like, Yeah, I'm gonna quit thinking about that. I'm gonna go upstairs, make a coffee, and start over. It was a freaky place. I mean, there was a tomb on site, a literal tomb, in the building.
Jump in there, Emily. Yeah, go for it.
Off of that one night, so Eli and I, he played Chuck. We were just walking around, and we loved this movie. We wanted to see everything that happened. So one night we walked up to the castle, and we were just kind of, we didn't know where, no one knew we were coming. We were just gonna kind of like creep on and like view. So when we got to the castle, we're like, where the hell do we go? And so we were walking around, and we came to those dungeons, and I was like, oh my gosh, a dungeon, like how exciting. And they had chains and like hooks there. So I put my hands through it. And then I looked at Eli, and I was like, oh my gosh, I bet someone died in these chains. Like,
Yeah, those weren't props.
They have two things.
Oh no.
And then of me literally like going, like, oh my God.
It's always a good idea till it's not a good idea.
Yeah.
Hopefully you didn't bring anything back to LA with you.
Very easily in that castle.
Yeah, I mean, so talking about that, this is where the scary things are, and we talk a lot about paranormal stuff as well. Did anything like paranormal happen? I know there's a lot that's happened in this castle. Did you guys experience anything you can't explain, or was it just all, kind of just soaking everything in and realizing what actually happened here?
Well, and for my answer, it would be more of that, like just I have a problem with overactive imagination as it is, but actually watching the things that are happening. I do that a lot. Like if you put me in a room where shit happens, I understand the gravity of reliving that shit. It's crazy, but it's useful, but it's also at times, I wish it wasn't like that. But yeah, so that really put me on edge. I didn't see any like flying candles or anything like that, but there was certainly like an ominous feeling, and it wasn't just the fact that it was dark. It was like there were parts of the castle that you'd walk up and you're like, yeah, I'm not going that way. I'm going to turn around right now. And listen, I'm a guy that's been killing people professionally for 20 years, and I did that. So yeah, it was freaky, man.
I bet. What about you, Emily? Anything that unexplained that happened?
Unfortunately, no. I wish I had like a really great story. Again, the scariest thing that happened was when Eli and I went to that dungeon, and then you're like, ha ha ha, this is like, oh, we're so cute. He's like, so funny.
I have to look into this, but I know something happened with Xander. I'm having a recollection at the tomb, because Xander's very respectful of graves. Yeah. I got to ask Justin, and we'll have to do a recap, guys. But something happened with one of our producers. I remember he was dared to go to the grave after midnight or something, and something scared the shit out of him. It could have just been, like John said, a big Albanian squirrel. But I know that something sent him running. I'll look into that for you and get back to you on that.
I love Xander. Gosh, what a great fucking crew that we had here. Yeah. Everyone was not, no one was a douche. Everyone was great. God, I love it.
I'm so jealous. Muse and I, we should have been there, man.
Yeah.
It was like
sounds like so much
fun. We all
fun.
went to war together. We talk about that pretty often.
Yeah, everyone was so great.
You guys were great. You could really see the chemistry on set too. You guys really were great together on screen in every scene. So I'm going to stay with Emily for a second. And Emily has talked about she loves horror movies, and I love that. I love that. And I seen your Twitter. You're a huge horror fan as well. You great. So I got to ask your top 3 favorite horror movies. And it doesn't it could change tomorrow. I know it's hard to kind of narrow it down. So give me just like a quick top 3.
High Tension.
Yes.
Wow. Nice.
High Tension. High Tension was the first. So, okay, I feel like I'm going to sound like such a brat. Like, oh, nothing scares me.
That's me.
Natural. Yeah. Me too.
Actually, that's a lie. Stuff does scare me, but yeah. It sounds cool.
Saw that movie. That was the first movie that when I was watching it, I wasn't scared. I was like, wow, cool, great. But then when everyone left and it was just me alone in my apartment, I was like, oh, I'm kind of scared. Like, this is kind of scary. Like, stuck with me. So I love that movie for that. And I also love that I feel like when I was going to say that I thought that my brain, like when the dad's head gets smashed with the thing, and it comes ripped off. So apparently there's 2 versions of that, because I swear that I saw the head come off, but I guess in in a dubbed American version, you didn't see it. And so for the longest time, I was very confused. Like, I swear I saw that. but I just saw a different version of it. So that was sorry.
That was a brutal scene.
I know, but so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So High Tension, I love Reanimator.
Yes.
Nice.
I love it so much. I love that movie. I adore that movie. And a third one is just rotating.
Yeah.
Doesn't really answer your question, but there's just so many amazing movies in the horror realm that I don't know if I can give you a third.
You know, you said something, and I want to recommend a movie if you haven't seen it yet, because we watch horror movies all the time, and we get scared, and you know, there's certain things that we look at, you know, what really scares you. And out of the hundreds of movies that we watched, one movie that kind of kicked it off for me was Hell House LLC. I sat and I watched it.
Yeah.
And it stuck with me, and I was like, I'm a grown man, but I'm kind of scared right now, you know. And I'm like, my kid's hall is down from my bed, and I'm looking, and I'm like, I hope nothing comes out of that room or whatever. So, Hell House LLC is the movie I would recommend if you want to get a good scare.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a good scare. It's found footage type deal, and it's a lot of fun. So sorry, Muse, to piggyback off.
That's all right. That's all right. So I'm going to switch back to Tate for just a second, because I mean, you know, looking at Tate's scenery behind him, the practical effects questions are coming because we love that here. We are so about. Yeah, we're definitely practical effects fans here. We love. We all grew up with it. It's just absolutely a staple here. So I've got to ask, some of the creature effects, like how long did it take for actors to get into makeup? Like what kind of time frame are we talking there? Because these are some elaborate special effects, and they are amazing.
Oh boy. Well, thank you very much. And I can't, unfortunately, take credit for that on this film, because it's as much as I would love to. It's my crew on the film that handled it. And that was I tell you what, jumping into the director's chair was less of a learning curve to me than learning how to step away from the effects. There's several pictures floating around of me directing this film, yet I'm oddly covered in blood. And it's because I just had to run in and get my hands in there with my boys. And I'm like, Mateo, my first AD, I'm like, Mateo, watch monitor. I'm running the set. And, you know, so like, but I have to say, my guys, Ben Bornstein, you know, Eric Zapata and Ali Gordon and Melissa Popsill and Jacopo, our local guy, like, man, if it wasn't for them, this wouldn't have been a movie. You know, it would have been a very spooky soap opera. You know what I mean? So it was, there was a lot of pressure on their backs, man. And you know, I'm going to, now that I've crossed both sides, and I know that there's a lot of effects guys out there that are probably tired of getting picked on by directors and are going to listen to this and be like, you know, Tate's going to set it straight. Well, unfortunately, I can't, man. It's such a crazy equation, because even when me, a special effects artist, directs a film, I don't know how the fuck, but it still ends up that effects get pushed to the end of the day and everyone has to rush. And, you know, you'd think that I'd have my effects blocked off for an entire day. And by God, I tried, but it just does not work out that way. So, you know, to all of the effects people in the world, including my crew, I'm sorry that is a reality. It happens to us all the time. But see, that's the thing about being a special effects artist. Above and beyond technical ability, you have to be able to think on your feet. You have to be able to troubleshoot, and you have to come to the quickest solution with the best possible outcome. Sometimes that means doing something completely different because you know A will work, Z will not. So you have to divert directions. But see, that's the great thing that I had in this team. I had professionals like Ben ran the effects team on Gotham. He's currently running The Prodigal Son. Eric Zapata is doing key character makeup on Fear the Walking Dead. Ali Gordon is like a gore workshop master that teaches all over the planet. That guy's done more blood gags than anyone in history, I guarantee you. So, you know, I just got blessed, man. And I could turn around and train myself to walk away and know that when I came back that my boys were going to have something great. And, man, it's a great feeling to be able to do that.
Well, I'll tell you what, everything turned out great. And I'm looking at all the stuff behind you, and I got to ask one last question. What is your favorite piece back there? I see so many good ones. Do you have a favorite?
Great question.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Well, let's see. I'm pretty particular to my Toulon zombie from the Puppet Master reboot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's one that was also coincidentally enough sculpted by my main homie Wayne Anderson, master Hollywood sculptor extraordinaire. He sculpted not only this guy, but he designed and sculpted the Freak in Castle Freak.
Wow.
And he did so to the tune of putting his own ass in the hospital. He did me like a 12-day turnaround because there's this whole jumbled story about how we lost our original effects team. They were from Eastern Europe, and it was going to be super easy and great, and everyone's excited because, you know, we found this amazing team, and then dates shifted and it fell apart. So I had to make that call. I had to call and say, listen, buddy, I don't have a lot of money, and you're not going to sleep for 2 weeks. Sound interested? Of course, Wayne said, of course I'm interested. It's Castle Freak. So I owe that guy everything. In fact, the film owes him everything. Thank you, Wayne. I love you. I hope you're recovering well.
Well, I'll tell you what, there's some amazing stuff there. And I mean, I'm sure it was probably hard to pick for sure, too. So to finish up, I'm going to ask Emily. I was reading that you have a great a lot of stuff with singing and performing as well as acting. So I was going to ask you, and you've opened up for some great acts I was seeing as well. Do you have any favorite memories of performing?
Yeah, Summer Jam 2015 with Naughty by Nature and
yes, I love it.
All these, oh gosh, now of course I'm on the spot. I can't remember any of the names, but yeah, it was, every single amazing act from the 90s was in like Summer Jam 2015 in Indianapolis. So much fun. But that was, so I sang with the Andrew Young Band, and we just went around. I lived in Indiana at the time. We just went around Indiana and we opened for a bunch of like really cool things. And that was in the summer, it was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And in the winter, it was Friday, Saturday. Sometimes Thursdays. We had a great time. That was my life for a couple of years. It was great.
It sounds like such a blast. Oh,
Emily, how did I not know this? Why aren't we in a band together?
Why aren't we in a band together, Tate?
Well, I want to be the band. How come I'm not in the band? I want to be invited.
I think we just started a band, guys.
Start a band.
It'll be the group name. We just started a band, guys.
We started a band.
Right, exactly. No, Emily, this is amazing. I'm going to call you about something else later.
Oh, great.
Oh, look at that. Muse, look at that. Look what you started.
Always starting some.
Yeah.
All right, well, I had such a blast. I could ask you guys questions all night long, but I will not keep you here all night. I will turn you back over to Ken to kind of wrap us up, but I had so much fun talking to you guys.
Well, they're not off the hook yet. You guys got to go through our horror trivia gauntlet here. So real quick, we got 13 trivia questions in here, and we're going to help you out as best we can. So you get a couple of lifelines. Since we don't have all our hosts, we normally have 2 other hosts with us, sometimes 3. But it's just me. So you get a couple lifelines. You can ask me for help. I have no idea what Muse is going to ask you. She has all the questions and the answers. I have no idea what they're going to be. So you can ask me for help. You can work it out between you two. You can ask for multiple choice once, and you can postpone the question. Maybe both of you have, like, maybe you know it, but you want to think about it for a second, or secretly Google it without us seeing on live TV. But
Can I say that I swear I love horror? I feel like I'm going to bomb all of these questions, and I'm going to be like, people are going to be like, that bitch doesn't like horror. I swear I do.
I know. I'm already thinking about all of my friends that are just going to start sending me text message burns after they watch this. They're like, bro, you didn't know who played the guy in the background in Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5? You're such a loser. And yeah, I don't know.
Okay. We're ready.
You'll be fine. We almost make it impossible for you not to lose. So, all right, Muse, go for it with a Deathly 13.
All right, so we're going to jump right in, and you guys work as a team. If one of you has the answer, just go ahead and shout it out. And so here we go with the first question. What filmmaker wrote and directed The Evil Dead from 1981?
Sam Raimi.
Yeah, all right. Off to a good start. Okay. Yay. Question 2. You guys are off to a great start. How many in the movie Jaws from 1975? How many people does the shark kill?
Ooh. I may know it if you need help. I think.
I've got a cool hint if.
Oof, I've got so many people. This is one. I have a specific like Jaws obsessed friend who's just going to lose all respect in me.
Oh no.
Ooh, wait. Remember.
Emily, I'm kind of like teetering. I remember the girl in the beginning. I remember there was another death, like a sort of ambiguous death on the beach that sent people running in. I remember there was the awesome guy with the sideburns that got chomped in the end. But I feel like there's more than 3.
There is. There's a trick one in there, I think, right? I mean, it's like a not really a trick, but you kind of I think you kind of forget about it.
Ones, maybe.
Yeah, you might forget about one. All right.
I'm over.
Wait.
Okay.
No, sorry. Go ahead, Emily.
I first wanted to say 8, then I wanted to say 6, but I don't think those are right either.
You are really close with 6.
Really close with 6. Yeah.
Was there also one that they just kind of passed off in the newspaper at a town meeting? Does that count?
I don't think so.
You know, I've seen this movie a million times, and I'm like, wait a minute, who died in the newspaper clipping?
Yeah.
I want to say
all I remember was Quint. Quint was in there just in the background. Quint was just like,
yeah,
being a badass.
Emily, you want to split the difference and go with 5?
Sure.
Oh, all right, we'll do 5.
All right, that was my guess too. All right, good.
It's
Yes.
5.
Good job.
Right.
The gods have smiled upon us.
I was counting in my head too. I'm like thinking, like, all right, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, good. Emily, good job in going through and process elimination there. And I was like, the 8 seemed too high, and then 6 was close. And I was thinking, man, I think it was 5. All right, good job. Question 3.
All right, question
Nice.
3. The movie Gremlins from 1984 takes place in what U.S. state? And I'm gonna give you a hint here, in case Ken isn't sure. Ken, do you know it? Ken works here.
Oh, okay. I said it earlier. Wait a second. Let me just help you guys out. Let me just help you out.
Yeah, this is another one. I'm literally friends with Zach Galligan.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, then I didn't.
I wish I could call him as my lifeline, but he's going to be one that roasts me for not knowing this.
We wouldn't be mad if you called him on our show.
Yeah.
I literally have a gremlin right there in my studio, so I'm ashamed.
I don't know if you guys know Steve Gonzalez. He does a lot of paranormal on like TV shows, like on Travel Channel and all that stuff. And I was literally, I can send you my timestamp, just talking to him about Gremlins, literally today and last night. And I'm embarrassed to say I've never seen it, and so I was watching his documentary today, and the next movie was Gremlins, and I'm so embarrassed. Please don't take away my work card. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
No, there are so many I have not seen.
Part 2, I don't know why I keep thinking Indiana. Something cozy and like, and like some little.
It throws you off. It throws you off, but I think you're more accurate with part 2, actually.
Yeah, you said it. Just say it. Just finalize it.
So the whole thing is in New York. They're just upstate.
Yeah, it's kind of like maybe like a quaint little town.
I'm trying to show you my shirt. Don't you guys see the Statue of Liberty there and the Brooklyn Bridge?
I'm looking at the floor, man. I'm taking this shit seriously. I'm in the zone.
All right, you got it right though. You're good.
It's like in Westchester or something.
Yeah, it's like a small little quaint town there. Yeah, it's in New York, which I wouldn't have guessed either, honestly. I did not know that. I thought it was kind of be like Connecticut or something, like maybe with some small sleepy towns or something like that. Maybe a state with some really small little, quaint towns or whatever. I was like, New York, really? Okay.
Well, I knew that Billy had gotten the job offer in the big skyrise building in New York because he was an artist, and I remember being a kid, and I was like, that's what I'm going to do. And that's what I fucking did. I moved to New York. So that's the only reason I remember that part. But I didn't realize that the earlier one was also New York. Awesome.
All right. So question 4.
4.
All right. Well, okay. So I'm going to give you a synopsis of a movie, and I'm going to ask you after the synopsis to tell me which movie you think I'm speaking of. All right. Okay. A killer is loose in a small Maine community in this 1985 film. But no one believes the boy in the wheelchair who insists that the killer is a werewolf.
Silver Bullet. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Emily was going to say it. I saw it, Emily. You had it.
Oh, nice. Sorry, Emily.
No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
All right.
No, that's one of my favorite films. I absolutely adore Silver Bullet.
Me too. That's one of my favorite King films
definitely.
as well. All right, question 5. In the movie Aliens from 1986, what actor played Corporal Dwayne Hicks?
Oh, this is one people will Hicks was it was fucking Chet from Weird Science.
No, that's not him. But
He's
if you need help, I am a big Aliens fan, just to throw that out there.
Emily, do you know?
Well, okay, people are gonna think I'm lying. People are gonna think I'm faking this, but it is literally on the tip of my tongue, and I'm so mad.
Well, remember, we can use a lifeline if you want to think about it. We can come back to the question if you have it on the tip of your tongue, and I'll give you a hint.
I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna get this.
All right, he was in Terminator 2. Not Terminator.
Terminator
also.
2, the first
Terminator also. Sorry, Terminator as well.
Yeah.
Shut your face, Muse.
I'm like, oh, it's Robert Patrick. You tricked me. No, yeah, Michael Biehn.
Yeah, all right.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, I'm sorry because much like my favorite bands, I don't memorize the lyrics. Some of my favorite movies, I don't memorize the words. I just kind of play picture shows in my head. So I definitely heard people yelling Corporal Hicks a lot, but sorry guys.
You still got it. A win's a win. So yeah. Question 6.
All right, question 6. So this is a true or false. So just go ahead and shout out when you guys are in agreement. True or false? Toby Hooper directed Salem's Lot from 1979.
Just watch this movie.
False. Yeah.
It's true.
He did? Whoa, I thought that was false. Wow.
Yeah, he did, and I actually did not know that. I'm a huge Toby Hooper fan, and I was like, "What?" And I love Salem's Lot from the late '70s there, so I that one was kind of a tricky one, I thought.
All right, you got your first loss. You got your first.
Well, shit. There goes the perfect score.
Well,
Sorry,
not yet.
Emily,
Not yet. We got a trick.
Fall down the hill.
We got a trick for you at the end, so you might still get a perfect score. All right, question 7.
Okay, question 7. In the movie Shaun of the Dead from 2004, what is the name of the pub where Shaun and company hide out to have a nice cold pint?
Oh, yes.
Wait for all of this to blow over.
The Winchester.
Yeah.
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 Funny scene. I love that scene.
Now, anything revolving around beer, I'll remember. So we're good there.
It's just like Ken. You guys-
Yeah.
Every show in our beginning segment, I introduce a new craft beer or a beer that we're drinking. So I've drank a lot of beer.
Oh, hey, did you know? Here's some trivia for you. Did you know that in the party scene in Castle Creek 2020, where all of our cast assembled to talk about the reptilian involvement in the government, that the beers that are being drank in the background are Lovecraft brand ale, an actual beer that we imported from the States to come in. And I
was more blown away that you guys use Gunship in the background because I love Gunship, man. I was like, yes, I love this band. I love the videos. Muse, you got to check out Gunship, man, if you haven't watched it already.
I know what Gunship is. Yeah, somebody turned me onto them, and I checked out some of their stuff on YouTube. They are excellent.
Yeah.
They're great. And then that's another trivia piece is the saxophone you hear right as Claire's walking up the stairs. That's Tim Capello. That's the guy from The Lost Boys.
Tim Capello. Oh, man.
Wow.
I almost had him on the show, and he backed out. And that was our Lost Boys episode. But we got, what's his name on Lost Boys? Who do we have?
Jameson Newlander, who played...
Newlander, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, question 8.
Okay, question 8. In the movie Red Dragon from 2002, what actor played FBI profiler William Graham?
Oh, he was the senior agent, right?
I've only seen this one time.
Yeah,
but I mean, I have like a hint. He was also in Rounders.
Okay.
With Matt.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Emily, are you out there?
Yeah, I didn't see this movie.
What? Okay. I feel like it's
He was also. I'll give you another hint. Maybe Emily has seen. Maybe she's seen this one. Fight Club.
No, I know. Oh, it's Edward Norton. I couldn't remember his name. Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, I was seeing his Fight Club. Oh, am I wrong?
No,
you're right. You're right.
Okay.
It was
I was
Edward
seeing
Norton.
his face, but I couldn't remember his name. Sorry.
You guys are making my face hurt. I'm laughing so hard.
No,
Question
it's
9.
funny. It's funny all the things that your brain will give you access to instead of the shit you want. Like
Yes.
I was reading an article I read about Ed Norton about him being so hard to work with on set, but I didn't have his name. That's
I
how
wish
my
he
brain
wasn't.
failed me.
I wish he wasn't, because I heard that too, and that's why he didn't play the Hulk in the Avengers, which I wish he did, because I thought he was a better Banner than what's his face. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Question 9.
Okay, question 9. And this is one that Ken is going to be probably jumping out of his seat about. In what year was The Exorcist Part 3 released?
Oh, I literally just watched this the other night too.
Love this movie.
We still have multiple choice as well too.
Yeah, so you can ask me or multiple choice or postpone the question. You haven't used any of your lifelines, I don't think.
Right.
Oh, I forgot about those.
Wait. I think I finally.
I know it was in the early 90s because I had it on VHS.
Yep.
90?
You're correct. It was 1990. Yeah. Emily got it. Yeah, it is 1990.
Yes!
Finally came through.
You guys are doing good.
Nice. That is one of my favorite films. That
Beautiful
is such
film.
a
It
good
is
and underrated movie.
so underrated.
Yeah.
So underrated. I loved it. I can't go on enough about it. All right, question 10.
Okay. Question 10. This is a movie that we talk a lot about on the show. We're big fans of it. Beetlejuice. So I'm going to ask you, what Academy Award nominated actor played Beetlejuice in Tim Burton's Beetlejuice?
Eaton?
Yeah, I did not know he was nominated for an Academy Award. I missed that somewhere.
For Beetlejuice?
I don't know. That's what I was kind of wondering.
No, I think he got nominated.
Birdman.
Birdman got nominated for Birdman.
Okay.
But Beetlejuice.
Mr.
Stuff,
Mom.
you're in trouble if you come at me with that. I know way too much about Beetlejuice.
We're gonna have to do a follow-up show with Tate one day.
Yeah.
And Emily. And when Emily and Tate form their band, we'll do a follow-up show.
Nice. We'll call our band the Sandworms.
I love it.
Sandworms. 11.
Okay, I got to compose myself here. Okay. Question 11. Okay, in Bram Stoker's Dracula from 1992, what actor played Jonathan Harker?
That's our boy Keanu.
Yeah, Keanu Reeves. Yes, awesome.
Who's a vampire himself, the man who never ages.
Right. I totally agree with you there. Okay, for the 12th question, I'm going to do something a little bit different, kind of like a different twist on question here. I haven't done this, so I'm just kind of trying this out on you guys. And I'm going to ask you to name 2 horror movies starring Christopher Walken.
Oh, nice.
How about you both give one? You both give one each. That'll be fun. Emily, you go first.
Sleepy Hollow.
Yes.
Nice. I'm impressed. Very impressed.
The Dead Zone.
Yeah.
Nice.
Right.
I even heard that accent there.
Right?
I'm not walking
I'm not an
accent.
actor or anything, but I try.
Okay.
I love it.
The 13th question. Go ahead and tell him, Ken.
13 is worth 2 points. So if you guys get this right, you do get the perfect score. So you can make up. Remember, you still have all your lifelines, so you're good to go. Well, you're only going to use 2. You can multiple choice, or you can ask me. So go for it, Muse.
Okay, the 13th question. True or false? Return of the Living Dead from 1985 takes place in Kentucky.
That's true.
That is true. That is true. All right. I did not know that either.
Because if you'd asked me what my favorite movie of all time was, I would have told you Return of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
I just bought this rad glow-in-the-dark Return of the Dead poster. Oh, I'm so happy. I can't wait to get it in the mail. It's amazing. I'm a big poster guy. I buy like these fucking posters that I'm spending hundreds of dollars on every month. It's crazy.
I'm literally waiting for a Tar Man t-shirt in the mail from Bright Rags right now.
Nice.
I'm watching the tracking. It's getting closer.
What's up, Emily?
I have hundreds of posters that are just sitting there. I can look at them. Which one? Send me a list of ones, and if I have them, I'll send them to you.
Oh, you're so sweet. Emily's sweet. Emily is sweet. That's rad.
Emily is a rare combination of actually amazing and actually talented. She's pretty special.
I want a Castle Freak poster with your autograph on it. That's what I want.
I want a Castle Freak poster.
I want that poster right there. Wow, that's so badass. Well, listen, before we let you guys go, I'll give you guys a minute to just talk about what you're working on. Emily, I know that we're chatting on Twitter and you were filming something. So if you guys whatever you can share, what's in the pipe works, and also if you want to just drop your Twitter handle or where we can find you on social media, Instagram, Facebook, MySpace, whatever it is. Yeah, go ahead, Emily. What do you got going on?
Sure. So I just wrapped a movie in Oklahoma where I got to see Tate and Eli. So exciting about that. I was thrilled to see them. So I played the villain in this movie. I can't really say much yet, but yeah, I play a villain in this movie. It's going to come out probably in the summertime. It's a quick turnaround. And the title right now is called The Hostage House, but I think that's going to change. And I have a movie coming out this year. It's like a horror drama called Desert Shadows. And then COVID pending, I'm going to Portland to film a comedy where I'm also the villain. I don't know what that says about me, Shelley. And then this movie. Although I don't like to think about Shelley as a villain. I don't think she's a villain. I think she's just misunderstood.
I agree.
Yeah.
In fact, only you and I, Emily, only you and I know the alternate ending for Castle Freak and the way it was supposed to go down.
Yes, that is true. And
yep.
Yes. And I love it.
Sorry, Gary.
Yeah, anyways, then I'm found on Twitter and Instagram, and I have to kind of, it's Emily Sweet, so it's Emily Sweet. I'll say that it's Emily Sweet. People are like, Emily Sweet. I go, no, it's Emily Sweet. And they're like, yeah, no, Emily Sweet. I'm like, no.
Like Terminator 2. Yeah. Terminator 2. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
So, and thank you so much for having me on. And before Tate answers, I just have to reiterate how amazing he is and how amazing he is to work with. And honestly, Tate, any chance I get to talk your praises, I'm going to. So cover your ears if you want. But working with him is, again, to do scenes like that in a movie, to walk on and to have someone like Tate direct you, it was like just blowing. It was like the easiest thing, like going to the beach, just like, oh, I'm gonna do this, yeah, okay, great, because Tate's directing you and he's amazing, and his vision is amazing. And talking to him, the first time I talked to him was on the phone, and immediately I was just like, this guy's a fucking shit. I love him. He's amazing. He's incredible, and he is. And so everyone should hire Tate.
Oh my God, I love you so much, and every sentiment is reiterated. You're an amazing, amazing girl. I had so much fun with you and Eli the other night, and let's figure out how to do it again without getting arrested for having a party.
Emily, I got to shout out one thing. We have an intern who's literally a skeleton, and he loves not only your shirt, your tree, and your sugar skulls back there. So I just had to shout out to Dexter, the intern, who is literally a skeleton. So Tate.
I love skeletons.
There you go. He's got a boner. Tate, what are you working on, and where can we find you on social media?
All of my social media is, well, I mean, the only one that really matters is I don't really do Twitter. It's
Good.
Just headache inducing.
Yep.
And all of my Facebook is just sort of an offcast of my Instagram. So I say just go to the Instagram. It's just Tate Steinzig, my name. And I'm very excited to get my first written and directed by Tate Steinzig off the ground. And it's a different kind of storyteller. It's a different kind of story. It's a real tough pitch. But I found somebody. I found somebody who's interested in putting in the money. I'm in the very early phases of getting this into some sort of prep with anticipation of shooting next year. But all I can say is that much in the way that Castle Freak blew the doors down the remake of reality, this film is a microscopic observation of a really, really terrible redneck reality. I don't know if you guys know, I'm from Oklahoma. I love this state. I love the people. But there's an element of realism that is so horrific that it can only be told by someone who has experienced it. And I certainly have. So It's a really twisted fucking story, and I can't believe that I found somebody to actually produce it. So yeah, be prepared. Castle Freak was candy coated compared to some things I'm about to show you.
I'm wearing a sweater, but I literally have chills right now, and I'm so excited right now because I love the Castle Freak and what you did with it. So I'm just, oh man, and you guys got to come back on the show, man. I'm fucking jazzed right now.
Nice. Well, I love that reaction, man, and I love that you and your crew enjoyed the film so much. And listen, man, it's 2020. We made a crazy fucking film. It's 2020. We made Castle Freak. Everything is surreal right now. I don't know what the fuck is going on. All I know is that I'm happy to be here. I love Emily. I love my whole cast. And I love that people like you are enjoying the film. So, man, thank you very much. And I'd love to do a follow-up when I present my next perverse offering to the cinematic universe.
Oh, we'll definitely take you up on it. Emily, Tate, you guys are a pleasure. Congratulations on the film. Listeners, if you haven't watched the film yet, check it out on Shudder, Castle Freak 2020. It is beyond awesome. We loved it. We highly recommend it. Thank you so much. Muse, thank you so much for the great questions, and well done on Deathly 13. You guys have a great night. Thank you for hanging out with us on Way to Scare Things Up. Keep it scary.